Welcome to Assembly Update. I'm Assemblyman Angelo Santabarbara, representing the 111th Assembly District. Covers Montgomery, Schenectady, and Albany counties. Today, I'm joined with Gary Stryer, CEO of the American Red Cross of Northeastern New York. And thanks for being here today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure to have you. We want to start off, maybe you could tell us a little about your personal story and how you got involved with the Red Cross.
I've been CEO of the Red Cross chapter here in Albany for 5 years. Before that, I actually did government relations work for the Red Cross for about 8 or 9 years, and I worked for the state of New York for 18 years before that. So basically a career with the state and then a career with the Red Cross, and I love the Red Cross.
And this is the American Red Cross of Northeastern New York region. What areas of the state exactly does that cover?
We cover 17 counties from the Canadian border down the Hudson Valley to Ulster and Dutchess counties. Include all the areas in the Capital District, the areas you represent, Albany, Schenectady. We go over to Rensselaer, Fulton, Montgomery. So we're a pretty big area.
And as far as, I guess, if people wanted to get in touch, are there local offices, or is there locations where people can?
We have offices in Albany, Glens Falls, down in Poughkeepsie, and up in Plattsburgh. And we have our website at redcrossneny.org. You can get a directory of how to email people, how to call people. So it's easy to get in touch with us.
That's great. And you hear about the Red Cross all the time, and there's a lot of services that the Red Cross is involved with. And one of the things that I saw on the website was disaster services. And maybe we can talk a little bit about the hurricanes, the recent hurricanes that came through. I know the Red Cross was involved with that. What are some of the I guess relief efforts, just so everybody knows that sometimes it happens behind the scenes and people don't know about it. Maybe we could just talk a little bit about that.
It's been a huge relief operation. It's been the biggest Red Cross response since Hurricane Katrina 5 years ago. I think nationally we've served about 11 million meals, sheltered about 100,000 people, lots of feeding going on, lots of health and mental health support for people. We're transitioning out of sort of the emergency relief part where people really need to be in shelters and transitioning more toward long-term recovery programs now, where we're providing rental assistance for people to get back into a new place to live, mold remediation projects, things like that. And obviously most of the activity took place well south of us, but we did have about 30 volunteers and staff locally that came and that went down from here to work on Hurricane Sandy.
And when a disaster strikes like that, how quickly are you mobilized? What's the process that happens from the time you hear about a disaster? What's the process to get people on the ground and get them to the areas that we need them in?
In this case, we actually had a lot of warning, so it was a good situation. We, a week ahead of time, knew that it was going to hit somewhere. The struggle is figuring out exactly where it's going to hit.
Right.
So, we do lots of call downs of all of our volunteers to find out who's available and to notify them. We have shelters on standby. We talk to all of our shelter teams. We actually, in this area, even though we didn't get hit, we had 16 shelters open or ready to go just in case. Some of them were actually open. So we work with our government partners and make sure we are ready to go the second after a storm hits.
And there's always a post. Once a storm has hit, there's the immediate recovery efforts. Now it's sometime later. What about now? Are there still people that the Red Cross is helping? Still involved with the community? What are some of the efforts that happen after the storm?
Well, in this disaster, there's lots of long-term recovery work. We had so much generosity for the American people that we have dollars left over beyond the sort of short-term immediate response work that we usually do for these long-term programs. And the big struggle now is getting people back into housing. That there are lots of people who lost their homes. A lot of them are in hotels. We need to help them get their homes repaired. We need to provide them financial support for them to get into a new place to live. And that's a struggle down there because there's very little housing in the city, and particularly there's very little housing that's cheap. So it's really focusing on getting people back in their houses through financial assistance, mold removal, repairs, programs like that. And that's going to go on for at least another year.
Yeah, and I've seen it in my district. I live in the town of Rotterdam, and in Rotterdam Junction, some of the situations you just mentioned, people are still not back in their homes. There's still recovery efforts that need to happen. Do you work hand in hand with the local fire departments and the people assisting as well? I was down in the Rotterdam Junction site, and I saw there was quite an effort there to help people out. And I guess just in regionally, there's a lot of disasters that happen besides the hurricanes. On a typical year, how many times would you have to do you respond to efforts?
Thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
About once a day, about 350 times a year, somewhere in our region, we respond to a disaster. Usually it's a home fire. There have been some huge fires in the last couple of days. There's a big one in downtown Albany last Friday. And when a fire happens, we're on the scene immediately, 24/7, in any of our 17 counties, and we make sure that people have a place to stay. Because typically what will happen if people are burned out of their homes, they don't have anywhere to go. And if they don't have financial resources, they just can't go stay in a hotel or rent another apartment immediately. So they need somewhere to go that minute. So we'll put them in a hotel typically for 3 or 4 nights. We'll work with them to provide them some financial resources to replace some of their personal possessions, for food, for clothing. We'll work with them to help them find a new place to live. We might provide them some financial help for like a security deposit or rent. So we just make sure that people have a place to go, and we also provide a lot of mental health and health support that obviously it's a huge shock when there's a fire and people need...
It's a devastating situation.
They need a hug a lot of times, and you know, it's always interesting to see the comfort that people see and the relief when our people arrive.
Yeah.
I think the victims feel like somebody's going to take care of us now.
Well, there's a lot of things, like like we talked about earlier, that just happen, and you're there, and it happened behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know about it, but yeah, things like you're talking about now, those are services that are needed that people really don't think about unless it actually happens. You're involved in the situation.
Right, and they're really costly for us too, and that's why, you know, our local fundraising is important in addition to all of the support people give for a big relief operation like Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, the bigger disasters, obviously people know more about, but like a local fire, sometimes you may not hear about it, but it's good to know that the Red Cross is there to assist.
That's our big struggle, is getting the word out that there's work that we do every single day in the local community.
And you know, we talked about fires, talked about hurricanes. What would you say is the most recurring emergency that you respond to?
It's fires.
Fires, for sure.
Fires are 98% of what we respond to in terms of the daily kinds of things. And we also have a lot of preparedness programs that we work with people on to educate them to avoid fires. And you know, because a lot of fires are preventable, and you know, a lot of them involve space heaters, or last week it was defrosting, you know, pipes, and you know, using candles, you know, falling asleep with a cigarette, things like that. So it's really a shame. A lot of these things could be avoided, so we really work really hard with people to educate communities about this. And
try and prevent the disaster in the first place. And yeah, I hear the stories about the heaters, especially in the wintertime. People leave them on accidentally, but they do cause the fires.
Winters are bad. We always have a lot of fires over the holidays with Christmas trees and candles. And in the winter, you know, the heating fires are huge.
And the responders, they are all volunteer?
They're mostly volunteers. They are, you know, supported by staff, but we have people on call 24/7. The fire department will typically call us, and we'll send our volunteers out. Sometimes if they need additional support, we might send the staff out. But the volunteers are fully trained, and they're empowered to, on the scene, provide the assistance that needs to be provided.
And there's a training program that it's sponsored by the organization.
Yes, and we're always looking for more volunteers to help us with this, because it's a big job covering 17 counties, you know, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's a huge area. How long does the training program take if somebody wanted to get involved? Is there how much? Is it months or?
No. It's they can come in, and there's lots of different things. They, you know, depending on their interest, they could get trained in a matter of hours to do some local response work. And but what we like to do is, you know, get people more fully trained and get them on the schedules, you know, so that they work with somebody who's more experienced, and they know, like, Monday nights for the next 2 months is their night.
Right.
It works a lot better than having people who just do it one night, and they get called a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's good to know that people can get involved. And if they wanted to contact the website again?
They can go to redcrossneny.org, or just call our chapter at 458-8111, and there's a volunteer department, and that's what they do all the time, is intake volunteers, and they work with them to see what kinds of things they're interested in. There's lots of different volunteer opportunities, and provide them the training and support. So we're always looking for new people.
And certainly if somebody wanted to make a donation, same contact information.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So Be Red Cross Ready University. I saw this on the website. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about this.
I'm glad you asked about that.
Yeah.
We've really struggled really hard, worked really hard the last couple of years to grow our sort of citizen preparedness programs, the kinds of free training that we provide people to be prepared for disasters, kind of like what we talked about earlier for fires, but also for a whole range of disasters. A lot of the preparedness things that you do are kind of the same, whether it's a flood or a fire or things like that. So Be Red Cross Ready University is a program we've been doing with area colleges, and it's sponsored by CDPHP, who sponsor a lot of our preparedness programs. And what we've been doing is working with the RAs at a number of colleges and training the RAs, and the RAs train the students in the dorms. Just very basic preparedness, and there's been a lot of students interested. We've done it locally at SUNY Albany, and we've done it at a lot of colleges in the area, and we're looking for more colleges to get involved in. We love getting people involved in the Red Cross when they're at college age.
Yeah, it seems like a great program just to have the knowledge. Even if you end up never having to use it, it's great to know and be prepared, like you're saying.
We have Red Cross clubs actually at a lot of high schools and colleges, and it sort of was an outgrowth of that. We have a club at Siena, we have a club at SUNY Albany. We have clubs throughout the area, and these students, and they're really enthused, and they work with us on blood drives. Sometimes they do training, some of them do fundraisers. It's a new thing we've really done the last few years, and it's kind of fun getting lots of young people involved, and gives them great service opportunities, and they can be the next generation of Red Crossers.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And along those lines, I guess the Citizens CPR, is that also part of that program, or is it a separate?
Yeah, we teach you a little bit of Citizen CPR. Citizen CPR, in the old days, people took very lengthy training programs to learn CPR, and what we found is a lot of people don't want to go to a training class at 6 or 8 hours. So we have the simplified CPR that just involves chest compressions, that you can, rather than the mouth part of it, and you can train people to do that very quickly. You can train them in a half an hour, and then they can, and it's nearly as effective as full CPR. So we do it as part of our Be Red Cross Ready University thing, but also it's something we offer as sort of a standalone preparedness program if people want to get trained. It's great, and it's simple, and it's easy, and it's free, and we can, get a group trained in an hour.
And, you never know when the situation is going to come up. It's always good to know at least the basics and know.
Right. And it's so easy now.
Yeah.
We've really tried to make it easy for people to do it so that they don't have to, spend 8 or 10 hours in a class.
Yeah. And if people want to get involved with these programs, again, just go to the website and find their local nearest area, I guess nearest region.
They can call us at the chapter at 458-8111, and we can direct them to wherever the closest place is. But we make it really easy. We will go and do it at other locations for groups. If there's a church group or senior citizens complex, or a group of college kids, we will go to them and provide the training. Oh,
that's really convenient. Okay, great. And so I guess for the people watching at home, if they're interested, just contact that number. Just going back, we talked about the fires. You do coordinate with local agencies and governments. What's the process if something happens? Do you contact the fire department, or do they contact you?
They contact us.
Oh, they contact you.
We rely generally on the fire departments to contact us and say there's a fire at X location, and we need the Red Cross there to help. We have a 24/7 call center where the fire department can call us. They know how to reach us.
Okay.
And then our dispatcher will reach out to the people that are on call and send folks out to the fire. For bigger things, we tend to coordinate with more agencies, like when there's a big, like a Hurricane Sandy or even a Hurricane Irene last year.
Right.
We work with a whole gamut of other not-for-profits that are doing work, and state agencies and federal agencies. I think everybody works together really well these days.
Is there some, I guess, are there any new, based on the fact that these hurricanes have hit the region, is there any new training that you're working towards, or any particular areas that you're focusing on because of that?
We're working really hard on growing our capacity because we know we need to respond to bigger things that seem to be happening more frequently. We know that we need to do more to work with other agencies to build resilient communities, to bring lots of agencies together to plan and to talk and to make sure we can meet community needs. And we're also just focused on training more people, getting more people prepared for disasters, because they seem to happen. These 300 fires we responded to this year affected 1,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people, so people should not assume that things will never happen to them.
Right. Well, I'm sure they appreciate the work that you do in the community, and I thank you for the work you do in our communities. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back. So,
in the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Night owl.
Early bird.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live.
our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
welcome back to Assembly Update. I'm Assemblyman Angelo Santabarbara, 1170 Riverfront Center, Amsterdam, New York, 12010. You can reach me at 518-843-0227, or you can email me at santabarbara@assembly.state.ny.us. Welcome back, and we had been talking about some of the great things that the Red Cross is involved with in our community and across the region. We're happy to have you here, Gary Stryer, CEO, and welcome back.
Thanks.
Let's talk about, we mentioned this earlier, let's talk about giving blood and blood drives. We mentioned it in our conversation earlier, and I thought maybe we should go into a little bit of that because that's a big part of what the Red Cross does. Maybe you could tell us about some of the blood drives that you're involved with.
We're always, blood. There's a constant need for blood. When somebody donates blood, the shelf life of the blood is very short. It's between 5 and 42 days. So we need to keep collecting blood every day. It's not something you can stockpile for a year. Right. And blood is, the Red Cross supplies the blood used by all of the hospitals in this area. And all the other medical facilities. So that's blood that's primarily collected locally and then used locally by hospitals. And so we're always looking for new donors. Only a small percentage of the public donates. And this time of year can be difficult for us in terms of supply because when you get snowstorms and ice storms and bad weather, drives get canceled sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes people don't show up because they don't want to drive in the snow. And also, when the flu and colds and things, people tend to cancel giving blood because they're sick. And obviously, if they have a fever, we don't want them to give blood. Right.
Where some typical places I've seen, what are some of the areas, where would you sponsor a blood drive? Well, we have fixed sites that they're open all the time at our chapter in Everett Road in Albany. There's one in I think, Crosstown Plaza in Schenectady. But we have mobile drives all over the community that are generally sponsored by companies. Sometimes churches do sponsor them, fire departments. You can actually go on the Red Cross website and you can click on Donate Blood and you can see a schedule of where blood drives. And there's blood drives every single day in the community somewhere. And you can just make an appointment. Or if you haven't made an appointment, you can just walk in. You might have to wait a little while, but you can walk in Schenectady or at Everett Road. And, I know sometimes people want to get involved in blood drives. How long does it take? How much of your day would it take if somebody were to walk in? How long would it take to donate the blood and get back out, get back to work or do whatever it is?
When I donate, it's an hour and 15 minutes maybe. I just do the whole blood, which is the quickest thing. There are other processes that take longer, where they take some of your blood out and process it and return things to your body.
Okay.
And that can take like 2 hours, but it's pretty much an hour and 15 minutes. It might be a little longer the first time as they get all of your information.
Right.
But it's really simple. It's nice and relaxing. Doesn't hurt.
Get some cookies, right?
Yeah, you get cookies and juice, and it doesn't hurt. And the folks that work at those places are a lot of fun. And you're saving lives every time you donate blood. I mean, how often do you get a chance to save someone's life?
And that's something else I'd like to point out. As far as saving lives, how important are blood drives? How important is it to give blood?
There's no substitute for human. There's no manufactured synthetic blood. There's only blood that people donate that we use in area hospitals, and it's used obviously for accidents and illnesses and surgeries and cancer victims and all sorts of needs. And the only solution is people donating.
And if people, I know there's people that do it frequently. How much can a person donate? How much blood per visit would a person donate?
You donate, 1 unit of blood, which and you can donate every 56 days.
Okay.
There are some processes that are longer, that may be like 112 days, but generally simple whole blood, it's every 56 days. And you get your blood pressure checked, you get your iron level checked, so you almost get
a little physical
there.
That's good to know.
And it's really simple, and it's a great experience to sit there for an hour knowing that you helped save someone's life.
Right. I guess that's the important thing to keep in mind. And speaking of that, as far as you mentioned that the blood is good for, it's limited.
Right.
How is the blood supply right now?
We're doing pretty well right now, given that it's winter, because winter's a tough time.
Yep.
We had Hurricane Sandy, I think, really sort of encouraged a lot of donations. So we've been doing better than we usually do in the winter time. But winter's always, a tough time. Imagine all the people that have a cold or the flu or a fever right now, they can't donate blood.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't feel good when they have a flu for weeks, and so we lose. I'm sure when we had ice the other morning, I'm sure there were some blood drives that some people didn't show up because the roads were icy. So we always need new donors.
Probably in the, I guess when the weather gets better, you get more supply of blood, and in the wintertime, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, although summer is more of a struggle for us because we get a lot of donations from schools. We have lots of drives in high schools and colleges.
I've seen those, yes.
And when the schools are out of session in July and August, that's also, we struggle a little bit sometimes, because also lots of people are on vacation then, and they, some of the things that they would normally do, they put off because they're, away somewhere.
Yeah.
So summer and the holidays, and wintertime when there's bad weather and flu are kind of the times of year that we really struggle a little bit.
And you said if people wanted to find a blood drive coming up, they can go to the website?
Yeah, go to redcross.org and just click on Donate Blood, and you can get a full schedule of where to donate.
Great. Well, it's good to know, and it's a very important part of helping Red Cross do their job and helping save lives. Yeah. So if you get a chance, please stop in or visit the website. And if you get a chance, it doesn't take that long, and it seems to be a very easy process.
And you get the cookies.
And you get the cookies at the end. Let's talk a little bit about some of the youth programs. I know that Red Cross is involved with this. Maybe you can tell the audience a little bit about some of them.
We've really focused the last few years on growing sort of the youth involvement with the Red Cross, because we need to make sure that there's another generation after us of volunteers and donors and people who are trained to know these things. So we've got, she go out to elementary schools and do training in preparedness. We have a program for even before, 3- and 4-year-old kids called Scrubby Bear, where we teach people how to wash their hands and avoid the spread of germs. So we do lots of training in the schools. We have something called Masters of Disaster. We'll go into a school and talk to people about disaster. And then we have these clubs that we're organizing in area high schools and colleges where the students work with us, and they do all sorts of neat things. They learn about the Red Cross. They get some great service opportunities. They get to put some things on their resume for the college application. And they've been great because they really inject, I think, a lot of energy in the organization and new ideas, and they're really a lot of fun to have around.
How many would you say are in the region Red Cross clubs?
I think we have about 500 students involved in the clubs.
500 students. Okay.
The largest group is probably at Siena college. I think we have over 100 kids at the Sienna Club. But this is really growing, and we really are looking for more high schools and more colleges.
Yeah.
And again, they can call our chapter, and what we'll do is help them get things set up. But then, they kind of have to own it and figure out how they want to be involved, and we'll support them. And it's a great opportunity for kids to get involved. Also, we have for young people a lot of babysitter training. That's something that you have to pay for, but people that are between 11 and 15, they're looking
Sure.
for to get trained, and it's a great way to make some money. And to me, babysitter training is good also because you learn some skills associated with being home alone and things like that.
Yeah, that seems like and if people want to get involved with these programs, they just contact or
Again, call our number or
they
go to the website. I know we're doing a special babysitter training over President's Week because there's lots of kids that'll be home during the week, and parents looking for something to do, so they can in one day get their entire babysitting course.
And could they also students go through their university or college? Can they contact? Is there a contact person?
For babysitting, they should call the Red Cross.
Just call directly?
Yeah, they should call the Red Cross. And there's courses all the time, but I know we are doing some special programs over the coming break just to take advantage of lots of kids that will be home from school.
Great. That's great to hear, and that's great to know that those are available to our students and members of the community. We talked about some youth programs. What are some of are there any other programs that we haven't covered that you'd like the audience to know that the Red Cross is involved with?
We have a number of programs we've actually had for a long time for services to the armed forces. We do a lot of work with military members and their families. One of the things that we do that's the most important is that when there's an emergency, a family member is ill locally and there's a soldier overseas, we work with the military to make the contacts and to verify the leave and to help support the soldier coming home in some cases. Sometimes it's good news, but oftentimes it's bad news, a death in the family. And that's something the Red Cross has done for, I think, almost 100 years. And we still do that, and we do it nearly every day. And, also try to provide more support for local military families with a VA hospital. That's a huge need, and we all need to do more for that. But we do have a very active armed forces program. That's
great to hear. These are things, again, that people don't necessarily know that Red Cross is involved with, but it's good to know that those are available.
And it's another volunteer opportunity. We're always looking for volunteers to help with those programs.
For volunteers, just going back, if people in the community want to get involved, call the number or go on the website.
Our website, and you can actually click on volunteer and start the process right there. And we're always looking for new volunteers, and there's probably about 100 different jobs you could pick from. So there's something for almost anybody. Some people want to sit at the computer, some people want to answer the phone, some people want to go out and respond to disasters, some people want to train other people. There's lots of great options.
We're going to give out that website one more time, www.redcross.org, and the number 518-458-8111. If you're looking to learn about the Red Cross or volunteer, that website is very good. Or you can give a call, or maybe they could have a visit to one of their regional offices.
Yep, we're open all day, 5 days a week in Albany and Glens Falls and down in Poughkeepsie, and if you happen to be in Plattsburgh. So there's, we're manned all the time if people want to come in, or they can call ahead and make an appointment to talk to one of the volunteer folks if they're interested in learning about volunteering.
Great. Gary, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for joining us on the show, and hopefully we can have you back sometime. Thank you for sharing all the information with our audience and for being on the show.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.